Everybody, it's Bev.
And it's Mark.
And we are
The Redmonds.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Meet the Redmonds. And guess what? Meet the Redmonds is our podcast journey about marriage, second chances, and unyielding love. This season, Mark and I share laughs, lessons, and life with some great friends that we meet along the way. We promise to keep the conversation relevant, churchy, and definitely old school. It's a mix that we call the Redmond Way. Season 2 of Meet the Redmonds starts streaming October 1st on OCPITV.com every Sunday, 5:30 across all time zones. We'll meet up with you soon.
It's Mark.
And it's Bev.
And we are the Redmonds.
Welcome to Season 2 of Meet the Redmonds. We are so excited to be bringing you another season of great episodes. We're on the Re-series, Renew.
And then we got some episodes with our Portland Refresh. So we're just all about the Re's.
It's all the Re's. But today it is part 2 of Renewing Your Faith.
With Gen Z? Y, X? I don't know.
That means you're in your 20s if you are in Gen Z, and we are not Gen Z.
What are we?
But we know we are Gen X.
You sure?
I'm very positive.
What happened to Y? So it goes from X to Z?
X, Y, Z.
So what is Gen Y? Or is that millennials?
We've got the millennials in the middle. So.
I don't know.
We'll have somebody on that can explain.
All I know is I got an AARP card. That's all I know.
I'm pre-AARP.
No, you're not.
I am.
Don't lie to the people in media land.
Honest Abe, I don't have an AARP card.
Because you didn't apply, they didn't send it to you. You're eligible for one.
I am, and I will take all my chicken discounts. Whatever I get, I am for it. This girl loves a sale. Come on.
But we're here with part 2 with Amber Heyward and Angelica Dampier. They're talking about renewing their faith as young people. Mm-hmm. And you ended part 1 starting to ask a question about how do you renew your faith, or how do you navigate your faith professionally?
Yes, because especially for Gen Zs, millennials, the world has changed. Church is not a required part of life. Your faith is not a required part of your life. So how did they do it? How do they do it? Really interesting conversation, and how important their faith is and how it informs them even on their jobs. That doesn't mean they're out there opening their Bibles and doing a full-on Bible study in the middle of a meeting. That's not what they're doing. But
you lose your job because of that.
Come on, people, be smart. Be smart while you're out there. It doesn't mean that we're out there proselytizing or asking, or
what was that?
Proselytize.
Is that a word?
Asking people to come to Christ right in the middle of a meeting. No, you're not doing a revival.
Is proselytize?
Proselytizing.
You're going to see it on the screen, people. I got the fact check because Beverly throws out these words.
He thinks I make up stuff, but it's true.
I'm telling you, I don't engage in discussions with Beverly unless I got a thesaurus or a lawyer.
It's not true, but you should get,
a lawyer?
You should have one of those on speed dial in your life. However, no. You have to be smart in the expression of your faith, the usage of your faith. And that means, for me, it means that I am allowed to say that I love people. I don't want to do anything on this podcast. I don't want to do anything at work that would make people think that God doesn't love them and he's not for them.
And we both, in our professions, have prayed for people at work. I know I pray for students all the time. I pray for myself that God would give me the patience not to hurt some of these students, but we have prayed, and we prayed for people.
Yes.
So it is a part of our lives, and people can tell by our walk, our gait, that we do serve a higher calling.
Yes.
So we're going to get into part 2 of Renewing Your Faith with Amber Heyward and Angelica Dampier.
I just like saying Dampier.
Right. That's a cool last name.
It sounds French. It sounds like it should be on an NBA jersey. Dampier.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And we're going to come back, and then we're going to tell you where you can find Meet the Redmonds all over the place. So here we go with part 2 of Renewing Your Faith.
See you in a minute.
All right.
You talk about faith on the job and leaning on God. We're in Seattle, highly democratic place.
Mm-hmm.
How does your faith fit inside of a Seattle type of setting? Does that challenge you? Is that comfortable for you? Are you noticing anything? I do. That's why I'm raising the question.
I think for me, one thing that I'm very fortunate in having is I work with a lot of people who I've become friends with. And so they're genuinely curious about my faith.
Mm-hmm.
When I do come into contact with folks who don't really know me or I'm not entirely friends with, I'll bring things up. Like Sunday, I went to church and there's this sudden like tightening up kind of a thing in the workplace, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Amber?
I think specifically because I work in government, I do believe in separation of church and state. I don't believe the government should impose religious beliefs on people, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm not a politician. I work on the administrative side of the government. I have a master's degree in public administration. And ironically, what you just said about how the culture in Seattle being more progressive,
Mm-hmm.
it's making me feel more comfortable expressing myself. I would say because across the country, ever since the murder of George Floyd, it's been all about diversity, inclusion. Everyone should feel like they belong. And
Yes.
with that has come, more BIPOC, Black, Indigenous people of color opportunities and not small groups, in the workplace, they call them sometimes employee resource groups or things of that nature.
Affinity
Same thing for
groups. Yep.
affinity groups. That's the word. Affinity groups. There's the LGBTQ plus affinity groups. And as I'm seeing these things, I've had this moment of, personally, I identify as Christian first, Black second, woman third. And if there are groups for women to uplift their identity and for Black people to uplift their identity and people of the LGBTQ plus community to live into their identity, for me, belonging and inclusion and equity in the workplace looks like being able to bring my full self, which happens to be a Christian above all. And while I have not done anything like explicit or outright yet, I've been brewing on this. All right, when I slip up and accidentally say thank God in a meeting, I don't apologize, because Seattle being so progressive and so proud and so out there, and Seattle demanding their rights, making me say, you know what? No, why don't I do that? Why don't I keep that same?
Right, I got rights too.
So it's been encouraging in a very counterintuitive way for me.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. And so when we say Seattle is a very democratic place, we're talking about the progression, not necessarily the party. Each of us may have our own political views here, but knowing that with that people-centeredness, it is not always very similar. We're from the Midwest. There is a church everywhere.
No, we're from Chicago. There's a difference. It's a difference.
In the middle of the country.
Right.
And it's very, very, very much so that on Sundays or throughout the week, that is a part of your life. As I was coming here, I noticed that didn't necessarily fit everyone's story. There are some that do, some that don't, but there's a lot of people power here. And it's very much built on your identity. And again, that belonging and that sense of it. So how do you fit in there is a very interesting thing.
All right. Angelica, I got a question for you.
Did she even provide the answer to the last one?
Yeah. About what? What was the question?
She went first. She went first.
Okay.
See, y'all gotta excuse me. I'm like Peter. I'm a Peter type of Christian. I cut off ears.
Oh my. Oh. It takes all.
Well, to Angelica, where do you see yourself going in your walk of faith as you keep progressing? Where do you see yourself going in the next 6 months, a year? Where do you see yourself progressing towards?
Yeah, that's a big question. And I was really thinking about it. I have a really big heart for people who are new to Christ, or folks who have recently like dedicated their life to Christ, because I know exactly what that feels like, and to just feel so lost and not know what to do next, or to feel even just like alone in that. I also have like a really big heart for folks who are doing the faith walk on their own, because that's real too. Like I mentioned, I'm currently the only person in my family that is actively going to church, actively like pursuing a relationship with Christ. And that's a really, really lonely experience. And so I feel led by Christ to reach out to people who are going through similar things, and to be that sort of accountability partner, or to be that person who is just like a person for others, that model of servant leadership, just being a person for them as they're going through this walk, and to let them know that they're not alone, and that this is a life worth living and pursuing. So that's where I really see myself growing towards.
All right. All right, Minister Amber.
Well, I used to have a Christian fellowship group a couple years ago in Virginia, kind of for the same reason Angelica said. As a Christian, a proud Christian, I felt like I didn't have a community of people that were chasing God in the same way I was. And sometimes because of that, the only choice on a Friday night was to go to the bar. So I would go. It was to go to the party. So I would go, because after that, I'd be alone. And so I started creating events, and I would host dinners every month at my house. And since moving here, I just signed up to lead a small group at TAB. I don't know how long it'll take for that to materialize, but I look forward to doing that for the believing community, and then also invite people who may not be saved. When you invite someone to your house and I say I'm going to make fried chicken, cornbread, collard greens, and mac and cheese, you 9 times out of 10 will say yes, even if you're just a little bit curious or you want to eat some food. And so it's like a setting outside of church where people who may not feel comfortable being in church can get to know Christ in a different way. And then also a setting to empower into believers. But secondarily, I believe I need to be doing something specifically for people experiencing homelessness. Ironically, when I lived in Virginia, right before I moved here, I worked for the library system. And that's where I really learned. I did trainings and workshops about people experiencing homelessness, because the library is a refuge for them. And so I learned about the community, and I became more aware, and I grew this heart of empathy and all of this knowledge about how people get in those situations, how we should treat them, what they prefer, all this training. And then ironically, I moved to Seattle. And if you're not from here, I live specifically downtown, where the people are all over every street. And I don't have a car. I take the bus, I walk, which means I see it all day, every day. And the level of grief I feel, I've been here 2 years, and I still walk out my house, I see someone, I'm just like Jesus, like help them. And I intercede and I pray. I'm single and I'm alone. So there's a level of safety I don't feel I have to just walk up to people always and engage them in the way I want to. Right now, I do volunteer at Tabernacle, the church we go to, every third Saturday, which was today. I help them prepare food that they give to people experiencing homelessness. So that's what I'm doing right now. But I believe there is like some supernatural strongholds in this area that somehow can need to be broken. And I'm not saying that's going to be me, but it's something that I'm pulled to, and I see it as a supernatural, spiritual warfare debacle, not just a government, not just a church feeding debacle. So those are like the two arms I could see myself moving towards in the next few years if I'm still here.
Wow. Well, you know what? We are progressing so fast, and the topics have been flowing. We're almost out of time.
Are we?
Yeah.
Can we go a little longer? Please. I know you want to go watch football.
No, but I have a couple more questions. These young ladies may have something to do tonight.
Hey, I hope they do, and I want them to. I have a
You
question
heard
about
Angelica
church.
won a tiara from the state fair.
She is going.
Wear the tiara tomorrow.
All right, I'll bring it to church.
Okay, so we mentioned Tabernacle, and I have been such a fan, if you can be a fan of going to church, of going to Tabernacle since we found Tabernacle. It has really helped my feelings about Seattle. I was a little bit down on Seattle until I found
Mhm.
Tabernacle. I was like, okay, this is similar to back home in Chicago. I found a church home that I can relate and feel comfortable with. What do you do as far as your capacity of serving in the church? So tell us a little bit about that. We'll start with Angelica.
I am currently serving on the praise and worship team. I sing soprano, and it's been honestly the joy of my life. I used to sing a lot when I was younger, and when I had first started chasing after God, that's what I, started doing. That's how I was serving. And then I fell off the wagon once COVID hit a little bit, and then I was just really given the opportunity. I was extended an invitation by one of our ministers, and it's just been phenomenal to have the opportunity to help usher in the Holy Spirit into our space every single Sunday. And to just, it's great that the way that I get to minister is also a way where I can give back to God, because we know that worship is an act of giving to God. And so that's how I currently serve at our church. I'm also helping out with our pastoral anniversary. I've been working on our different graphic designs for our journal. And so any way that the church needs me, I try to offer my services. But
So, Angelica, when are you going to sing a solo?
when am I going to sing a solo? When the Holy Spirit allows and moves for me to do so. It's scary. It's a bit scary. It's scary up there.
It can be.
Scary.
Okay, Amber, how do you serve at Tabernacle?
I serve in the audio visual ministry, which basically anything you see on the screens, lyrics, graphics, information. I designed that and I've hooked it up so the service within the church is more accessible. And hopefully, not hopefully, soon, my plans are right now I'm building the team up so there's more capacity. And hopefully by 2024, we're going to revamp our streaming to basically merge the two. Right now, our streaming is just the video aspect. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking to hopefully upgrade that and make it again more accessible, more engaging so that we can reach souls. So as Angelica says, like praise and worship is literally a form of worship to God. I feel like AV is a form of evangelism, helping someone literally see and know, some people go to church and they hear praise and worship, right? And they're like, don't know the lyrics. And because they know the lyrics, they may just sit there. But when they have them on the screen, now, I can participate, I can learn. So I think it's like a way to bring people in and facilitate their ability to worship and learn. So that's what I do. Love it. And I'm grateful to be able to do it.
Not to toot my own horn, but I'm kind of like a super producer. I do all the stuff with Meet the Redman, the podcast and YouTube and all of that. So you can kind of,
He's volunteering for AV ministry.
I was going to say, a couple of months back when I stood in the front of the church and I asked for AV volunteers, were you present?
I wasn't there. I was back home in Chicago, probably. I wasn't there that Sunday. No. But I'm beginning to learn the nuances of, how to put programs and things together. So I'm learning. So, you can look for me in the future.
Thank you, sir. I welcome your expertise.
We have 2 volunteers here. If you're looking to go multi-camera, you're looking to do a lot of things. Let's talk.
Yes.
I want you to sing in the choir, in the praise team.
They also have to.
Right.
Come.
That is outstanding. You may ask the final question.
Sure. As we know it, there seems to be a divide that the history that you all have, the history that we have in the association with church, no matter how you grew up, knowing about God or going to a service on a weekly basis was a common thing when we were growing up. That doesn't seem to be the case for many young people. What keeps you connected to coming to congregation? You can be a person of faith and perhaps have some experiences sitting at home streaming, but why do you come out when you possibly could be doing something else or expressing your faith in a different way?
Angelica.
I've tried it. I've tried it all the different kinds of ways. I've tried just reading the Bible on my own without a church family. It didn't work. I've tried not Christ. I've tried literally everything. And what keeps me coming back is the community, one. And it's true, the Holy Spirit is there every single Sunday. And it's not, Amber and I have talked about this just in our own personal conversations, but it's just so authentically real. And I think it's for the same reasons why you also keep coming back. It's the genuine connections with folks who are chasing after God in a similar way that you are chasing after God, because the Christian walk is not an easy walk to take. And I don't think, it's my personal conviction that it is not one that you should take all on your own. Like, you have to invite other people into your mess sometimes to help you get out of that mess. And when I started coming to Tabernacle in January, my life changed not traumatically. Whoa.
Dramatically.
It changed. Like, it was a quick change. I would tell Amber all the time, like, God did this in less than 3 months. The next month would happen. God did this in less than 4 months, and 5 months, and 6 months, and so on and so forth. And I truly believe it's because of the people and because of God and all of the things that he's been doing. The Holy Spirit is there every single Sunday. And so that's what really keeps me going back.
Okay. Amber?
I have like a 5-point.
Oh, Lord. Here we go. Minister Amber.
No.
Bullet points.
It's not real bullet points. I would say, number one, just raised on it. I literally cannot imagine not going to church on Sunday. Like, that's the simplest answer. Number one, I feel also, I owe God my life, I owe God my life. And in the same way, when my job says, hey, come to work in person because we need you here for whatever reason, I feel like it's just the smallest thing I can do is to just show up in God's house, because that's where he has asked me to be. And I just feel it as a form of just surrender by doing what he asked me to do. But then, like Angelica said, the gift of doing what I feel like I'm supposed to do is I have community. I meet people. I meet the Redmonds. I meet Angelica. There's someone to look at me in my eye. I get a hug. I live alone and I barely know anyone in Seattle. So if I don't go to church on Sunday, I'm not going to get a hug. And I love hugs. Okay. So selfishly, I go for hugs. I go for accountability. I go to look people in the eye. And I think, to your point, though, not all young adults think that the three things I just said are motivating enough, which is why I think serving is pivotal. Like with the AV ministry, I'm really trying to I got 2 young boys, one 14, one 16, and all my head is thinking they have a reason to come to church. Another young boy, he's 19. You have a reason to come to church. And maybe some young adults may think it's boring to just sit and listen to someone talk. But if I'm in the back working on a computer, doing graphics, doing the sound, it's like something fun I could put my hands to do. And so I would encourage anyone that's listening, maybe if you're leading a church or you're part of a church, to really try people that you don't see that often, especially the young adults. Try to give them something to do, singing in praise and worship, serving in the back, being an usher. You want to feel, or some people want to feel, that in being here, it's a good use of my time, or I can get something, or I can learn something. And I think having people serve is a great way to get them to commit to coming in person.
And I just meeting you young ladies and being around you guys, I just enjoy it. You guys are funny to me. So and you know what? You keep us young. Just being around young people keeps you young. And it has just been a blessing to get to know you young ladies. And you all are something special. And you need to be commended and, applauded for your diligence and your commitment to the Lord. And it's just something that's very refreshing to see.
It is great to see 2 young, and for us, we're in our 50s. I'm sorry.
Are you telling people how old we are?
It's great. It is great. I'm going to be on the cover of AARP one day. That's it.
I'm telling people how old we are.
I'm 53 and I'm super happy about it. God has been really, really good. But it's great to see two young God chasers. And I pray that God phenomenally walks through your lives and just shakes you in a way and directs you in a way that will just overtake the directions that you thought you were going to do. And He's going to show you something wild and new.
So if you guys ever need ear to chew, so we can, maybe you got something on your mind, you might want to talk to us, and maybe we can give some words of encouragement.
Time.
Right. I know a lot. I really do.
And you all are very accurate when you say God continuously challenges you. The way you knew Him yesterday is not the way you know Him today. It's not going to the way you know Him tomorrow. My Seattle journey has put another wing or level on my faith journey, and there's much more to go. Same for you all. And hon, you ready to wrap?
I think we are. So let's hit them with our catchphrase. It's not her way.
It's not his way.
It's the Redmond way. Peace and blessings. Thank you, ladies. We will see you tomorrow. And we really appreciate you all. So we will
Thank you
talk
both.
Thank you
later.
for having us.
All right.
Love you both.
Bye-bye.
Take care now.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good
Bye.
evening.
Thank you.
You too.
Bye.
Hopefully you have enjoyed this episode of part 2 of Renewing Your Faith. And who were our guests?
Our guests were Amber Heyward and Angelica Dampier. And we had a good time. I hope you guys could see by our intro and now our outro that we are having a good time with season 2. We're doing a lot of laughter. We've kind of gotten over the neophyte stage, so we kind of know what we're doing.
We're sophomores.
We're sophomores now, so we've been able to relax a lot more in season 2, and we're just going to have a good time, and we're laughing, and we're loving, and we're doing all the things that makes Meet the Redmonds one of the hottest podcasts out there.
So we need you to like, share, and follow. Over the summer, we did a thing. We love being in front of the camera, but we want to be in connection with you. Season 1, you can binge watch it now on YouTube.
Just type in Meet the Redmonds.
Meet the
Go to
Redmonds.
videos. You'll see all 24 episodes. You can pick and choose your favorite run.
Your
favorite one. And there's an episode about flubs in there too, so what I just did. So you can see all the episodes, binge watch them, and you will have a great time.
Absolutely. So help us get to our first 100 subscribers. Head over to YouTube, Meet the Redmonds. It's there for you, a whole season of everything that we know. You can see some of our earliest stuff, which was a little primitive.
Also catch us on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Threads, all over the place.
All social media platforms. And you can catch us on Sundays on OCPI TV, 5:30 p.m. on any time zone.
West Coast,
East Coast,
Central,
South.
South is not a time zone. Mountain.
People wherever. It's 5:30 wherever you are.
All right, but we're gonna get out of here.
We love you all. We will see you on the next Meet
Wait
the
a minute, we gotta
Redmonds.
end our with our catchphrase.
Catchphrase.
All right, it's not her. It's definitely not your way.
Why not?
Cause it's not. You've been off the chain today, and I don't
You
know.
catch me really early. It may
Right.
not be the best. All right, I'm gonna find some caffeine, but it's not his way,
It's not her way.
but it is
The Redmond way.
Love y'all. See
Peace.
you next time.